Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at the multiverse.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is. It's a really big one. So we've got a whole bunch of different sources for this deep dive. We've got some scientific articles, some philosophical essays, even a really interesting personal account of some vivid dreams.
I always find those really interesting.
Oh, they're so fascinating. And we're going to try to kind of weave all of these different perspectives together to get like a really well-rounded view of this whole multiverse concept, you know?
Yeah, because it is one of those things that you kind of hear about, in passing in popular culture and stuff like that. But to really try and get your head around it,
You have to go deep.
you have to go deep.
You have to do a deep dive.
That's right.
So are we really just scratching the surface of reality here?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, the multiverse basically suggests that our universe is just one of many.
Well,
Maybe even an infinite number of other universes out there. And that's a concept that's been around for a while, right?
yeah, I mean, I feel like I've heard about it, mostly in science fiction movies and books.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's where a lot of people probably first encounter the idea, like the mirror universe in Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
Or you've got shows like Dark Matter, which is on Apple TV.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
That whole show kind of revolves around the idea of alternate realities and how you might travel between them.
Okay, so it's in a lot of pop culture stuff, but are there any, real scientific theories that actually support this idea of a multiverse?
There are, and this is where it gets really mind-bending, because we have to dive into a bit of quantum mechanics.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
But don't worry, I'll try to keep it simple. So one of the key concepts in quantum mechanics is something called quantum superposition.
Superposition.
Yeah, it basically means that a particle, like an electron, can exist in multiple states at the same time until it's observed.
Okay, so it's like it's in all those states at once, but we just don't know which one until we look at it.
Exactly. It's like a coin spinning in the air. It's both heads and tails at the same time until it lands.
Okay, I think I'm following so far.
Good. So now imagine that the act of observing that particle, that coin landing, forces it to choose a state.
And what if that choice creates a split in reality?
Now you're getting it. That's one interpretation of quantum mechanics, that each of those possible states becomes a separate universe.
Whoa. So in one universe, the coin lands on heads, in another, it lands on tails.
Exactly. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book, where every decision, every quantum measurement creates a new branching storyline, a new universe.
So then there would be like an infinite number of universes, right?
Potentially, yes. And that leads to this idea of different levels of the multiverse.
Levels.
Yeah, kind of like layers of reality. A physicist named Max Tegmark actually proposed a classification system for these levels.
Okay, so what are these different levels then?
Well, imagine our universe as a bubble, like a big soap bubble.
Okay, I can picture that.
So level 1 universes are like other bubbles floating out there in this vast cosmic foam.
So there are other bubbles out there just like ours.
Yeah, but maybe with slightly different starting conditions, different arrangements of matter and energy. Like those cosmic background radiation variations you were talking about earlier.
Oh, right, like cosmic fingerprints?
Exactly.
Okay, but what about the other levels?
Well, level 2 is where things get even weirder. These universes would have different physical constants.
Different constants. What does that even mean?
Okay, so think of it like baking a cake.
Okay, I love cake.
Me too. So you've got your basic ingredients, right? Flour, sugar, eggs.
Yeah,
But you can adjust the amounts to get a different kind of cake.
right. But more chocolate or less sugar.
Exactly. In level 2 universes, the basic forces like gravity and electromagnetism are the same, but the values of those forces, like how strong gravity is or how fast light travels, could be different.
So like in some universes, gravity might be super weak and you could just jump to the moon.
Exactly. Or in others, the speed of light might be slower, so time would seem to move differently.
Whoa, that's crazy.
It is. And then we get to level 3, which is where those branching timelines from quantum mechanics really come into play.
So that's where every single possibility gets its own universe.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
It's based on what's called the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics.
So it's like every time I make a decision, a new universe is born.
Potentially, yes. It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But what about level 4? Is there even a level 4?
There is. Level 4 is the most abstract and controversial of all. It's called the ultimate ensemble. And it basically says that any universe that can be described mathematically must exist somewhere.
So even universes with totally different laws of physics than ours.
Even though some physicists argue that if it's mathematically possible, then it has to exist in this ultimate ensemble of realities.
Okay, now my head is really starting to hurt.
I know it's a lot to take in, but that's the multiverse for you.
So with all of these mind-blowing possibilities, is there any way to actually prove that any of this is real?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, how do you observe something that's outside of our own universe?
Right. It's not like we can just hop in a spaceship and go visit these other realities.
Not yet, anyway. But scientists are looking for clues.
Like what kind of clues?
Well, remember those cosmic fingerprints we were talking about?
The ones of the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Exactly. Some scientists think that if our universe collided with another universe in the distant past, it might have left behind traces in that radiation.
So like scars from a cosmic fender bender.
Exactly. And then there's dark matter.
Dark matter. What does that have to do with the multiverse?
Well, dark matter is still a huge mystery. We know it's out there. We can see its gravitational effects, but we don't know what it's made of.
It's like the invisible elephant in the room.
Yeah, kinda. Some theories suggest that dark matter might be interacting with other universes, or even acting as a bridge between them.
A bridge between universes. Okay, now things are getting really interesting.
Right, it's like something straight out of science fiction.
Speaking of science fiction, you mentioned that show Dark Matter earlier.
Yeah.
I was reading some reviews of this show, and it seems like some people had pretty strong reactions to the casting.
Oh, yeah. There were some heated discussions about that online.
Yeah, like one reviewer was really upset about the portrayal of certain characters.
I remember that. They felt like it was unrealistic and maybe even driven by some kind of agenda.
It sounds like they were uncomfortable with seeing familiar tropes and characters kind of challenged or subverted.
Maybe. It's interesting how these fictional representations can spark such real-world debates about representation and identity.
Yeah, it shows that even in science fiction, the stories we tell and the characters we create can have a big impact on how we see ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely. So while we're on the topic of personal experiences, you mentioned earlier that you were doing some prep for this deep dive.
I was?
Did you come across anything particularly interesting?
I did, actually. I found this essay about vivid dreams.
Oh yeah, this can be pretty wild.
They can. And this essay was talking about dreams that feel so real, so intense, that they're like glimpses into other lives or even other worlds.
I've definitely had dreams like that where it feels like you're actually living another life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in this essay, the author describes this one dream where they were in a futuristic Los Angeles with flying cars, and everything was so vivid and fragmented, like snapshots of an alternate reality.
It's interesting how those dream experiences can sometimes feel even more real than waking life.
They can. And it makes you wonder if maybe they're more than just figments of our imagination.
Right, like maybe there's something deeper going on.
What if our dreams are actually glimpses into other realities on a personal, subjective level?
Now that's a thought-provoking idea. It kind of ties back to the multiverse concept in a way, doesn't it?
It does. Both dreams and the multiverse deal with exploring possibilities.
Yeah, in our dreams we can play out different scenarios, experience different emotions, confront our fears, all within the safe space of our own minds.
And maybe those dreams where we make different choices, experience different outcomes, are echoes of those other realities branching off from our own.
Whoa! Okay, now my mind is officially blown.
Mine too. But it's exciting, isn't it?
It is. It really is. And it makes you wonder about the nature of consciousness.
Right. Like, if our dreams can be glimpses into other realities, could our minds somehow be connected to these other universes in ways we don't even understand yet?
Now that's a question for the philosophers.
Maybe we'll have to have them on for another deep dive sometime.
That would be fascinating.
It would. So it seems like our exploration of the multiverse has only just begun.
We've barely scratched the surface.
There's so much more to uncover. So stay tuned as we continue our journey beyond the familiar, exploring the mind-bending possibilities of a universe that might be far stranger and more wondrous than we ever dreamed possible.
I can't wait. Welcome back to the deep dive into the multiverse. You know, before we got sidetracked talking about dreams, we were talking about finding evidence of the multiverse.
Oh, right.
Right.
Those cosmic fingerprints we were talking about.
Yeah, you know, scientists are searching for those fingerprints in the cosmic microwave background radiation. It's that faint afterglow of the Big Bang that you can still detect throughout the universe.
And they're looking for, like, patterns or variations that suggest interactions with other universes?
Exactly. Like if our universe had bumped into another one.
Whoa. Like a cosmic fender bender?
Exactly. Imagine two soap bubbles colliding, you know? They might merge for a moment and then separate, but they'd leave behind this swirling pattern where they touched.
Oh, I see. So scientists are looking for something like that in the cosmic microwave background radiation.
That's the idea. It's a long shot, but it's one way they're trying to find evidence.
Okay. And you also mentioned dark matter earlier.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with the multiverse?
Well, dark matter is one of the biggest mysteries in cosmology right now. It makes up a huge chunk of the universe, but we can't see it directly. It doesn't interact with light.
So it's like a cosmic ghost. We know it's there, but we can't see it.
Yeah, a good way to put it. Some theories suggest that dark matter might be made of particles that can interact with other universes.
So dark matter could be like a bridge between universes.
That's one possibility. It's like something straight out of science fiction.
It is. But hey, sometimes science fiction turns out to be not so fictional after all.
True enough. But for now, it's still very much in the realm of speculation.
Okay, well, let's go back to those dreams for a minute. You were saying they could be glimpses into alternate realities.
Yeah. It's a fascinating idea.
Are there any, scientific theories that actually support that idea?
Well, not directly. I mean, there's no hard evidence to prove that dreams are literally portals to other universes or anything like that.
Right.
But there are some interesting parallels between dream research and the multiverse concept.
Oh, like what?
Well, both dreams and the multiverse were all about exploring possibilities, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
In our dreams, we can play out different scenarios, experience different emotions, confront our fears, all within the safe space of our own minds.
And in the multiverse, every possibility could be playing out in a separate universe.
Exactly. So it's like our minds are creating these mini multiverses every time we dream.
Whoa. That's a pretty well thought.
It is. And it makes you wonder, what if those dreams where we make different choices, experience different outcomes, those are echoes of those other realities branching off from our own?
Okay, now you really blow my mind.
I know it's a lot to take in, but it's fun to think about, isn't it?
It is. But let's be real here. Not everyone buys into this whole multiverse idea.
Of course not. There are plenty of skeptics out there.
Like, what do they say? Why don't they believe it?
Well, some people argue that the multiverse is just too complicated. It violates Occam's razor.
Occam's razor.
It's this principle that says the simplest explanation is usually the best.
So they're saying, why invent all these extra universes when we can try to explain things with just one?
Exactly. They say it's an unnecessary complication.
Okay, I can see that point.
And then there's the fact that we can't directly observe these other universes.
Right? It's not like we can just point a telescope at them.
Not yet, anyway. So it's hard to gather evidence. It becomes more of a philosophical debate than a scientific one.
Yeah, it's like we're pushing the boundaries of what we consider to be science.
Exactly. We're venturing into realms where observation and experimentation become really difficult.
It's like we're standing at the edge of the unknown, peering into the darkness.
And who knows what we'll find there.
That's a good point. Remember that reviewer we were talking about earlier? The one who was so upset about the casting in that show, Dark Matter?
Yeah, I remember.
It seems like maybe their discomfort stemmed from a fear of the unknown, a resistance to having their preconceived notions challenged.
It's possible. When we encounter things that disrupt our worldview, it can be unsettling.
But maybe that's also where the greatest opportunities for growth lie.
Maybe. By embracing the unfamiliar, challenging our assumptions, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, new ways of seeing the world.
Yeah, it's like that saying, the only constant is change.
And the multiverse really embodies that idea on a cosmic scale, doesn't it?
It does. By exploring the multiverse, we're not just contemplating the existence of other universes, we're also exploring the potential for different versions of ourselves.
Different paths we could have taken, different choices we could have made.
It makes you wonder about the nature of free will and destiny.
Right. If every possibility creates a new universe, then are we truly in control of our lives, or are we just passengers on a predetermined course?
That's a deep question.
It is. But it also opens up some really exciting possibilities. What if we could somehow access these other realities? What if we could connect with those other versions of ourselves?
What could we learn from them?
Exactly. I mean, think about the potential for knowledge and growth.
It's mind-boggling.
It is, but even if we never actually reach that point,
Yeah.
Even if we never directly experience these other realities, just the act of contemplating the multiverse can be transformative.
How so?
Well, it expands our awareness, challenges our assumptions, and inspires us to embrace the infinite possibilities that exist beyond our everyday experience.
That's a beautiful way to put it. So even if the multiverse turns out to be just a theory, it's still a valuable one.
Absolutely. It forces us to think bigger, to question our place in the cosmos, and that's never a bad thing.
I agree. So listeners, as we continue our deep dive into the multiverse, let's keep our minds open to the unimaginable.
Let's embrace the unknown with a sense of wonder and curiosity.
And let's never stop asking questions, even if the answers seem to lie beyond the reach of our current understanding.
Because who knows what we might discover?
Well, listeners, we've been on this incredible journey through the mind-boggling concept of the multiverse.
It really is amazing, isn't it? All these possibilities and different realities.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from these scientific theories to the philosophical questions. And we even talked about dreams.
It's all connected in a way.
It is. It really is. But one of the biggest questions that keeps coming up is, if the multiverse is real, are there infinite versions of ourselves out there?
That's the question that really captures the imagination, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, are those other versions of us happier, more successful? Are they living out our wildest dreams, or are they dealing with problems we can't even imagine?
It's a mystery. It really makes you think about the nature of identity and what makes us who we are.
Yeah, like what if there's a version of me out there who made different choices, took a different path? What would that person be like?
And would they even be recognizable as you? It's fascinating to think about.
It is. It's kind of humbling, too. To think that our lives as we know them might just be one tiny thread in this vast cosmic tapestry.
It puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Makes you realize that maybe our problems aren't so big after all.
Yeah, and maybe there's no need to limit ourselves to the paths we've already chosen.
Right. If there are infinite possibilities out there, maybe we should be more open to exploring new things, taking risks.
I like that. It's like the multiverse is giving us permission to dream bigger.
Exactly. And even if we never get to experience those other realities, just knowing they might exist can inspire us to live more fully.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about the potential consequences of exploring the multiverse.
Oh, right. The idea that thinking about it too much could actually affect reality.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
So do you really think that just by focusing our attention on the multiverse, we could somehow influence it?
It's hard to say. I mean, we're really getting into speculative territory here. But remember, quantum mechanics tells us that observation plays a role in shaping reality.
Right, the whole observer effect thing.
Exactly. So maybe by thinking about the multiverse, by bringing it into our consciousness, we're subtly shifting the probabilities, making those other realities a bit more real.
So it's like we're tuning our minds to a different frequency.
Maybe. It's kind of like how when you buy a new car, you suddenly start seeing that same car everywhere.
Oh yeah, I hate when that happens.
It's like you've primed your brain to notice it. And maybe it's the same with the multiverse. The more we think about it, the more likely we are to see evidence of it in our own lives.
That's pretty trippy.
It is. But I don't think we need to be afraid of it,
Yeah.
If the multiverse is real, it's always been there, whether we're aware of it or not.
That's true. So instead of being scared, we should just embrace the mystery.
Exactly. Approach it with curiosity and wonder.
Well said. Well, listeners, it looks like our deep dive into the multiverse has come to an end.
For now, at least.
But the exploration doesn't have to stop here. If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, go out there and learn more. Read books, watch documentaries, talk to people.
Keep asking questions.
Exactly. Because who knows what amazing discoveries are waiting to be made.
Maybe one day we'll even figure out how to travel between these different realities.
No, wouldn't that be something? So until our next deep dive into the mysteries of the cosmos, keep your minds open and your imaginations fired up.
And never stop exploring the infinite possibilities that lie beyond the familiar.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep looking up, keep wondering, and keep exploring.